Hello, everyone. This is Memphis Mark coming to you from Mullet Manor. We're going to do a review today of Rampage on the 24th. First of all, of course, if you like what you're hearing and want to hear some of the other shows, please go to Patreon and wherever you get your podcast and check out the WWE podcast. All right, we're going to start off with Rey Fenix and Andrade. And this match it could be a pay-per-view match and has been in the past, but in several places this would be a headlining match. But Andrade and Phoenix go off, and man, normally when I say tit for tat or a move for move, it's some little low key, a couple punches or a clothesline or some roll ups or something like that. It's that these guys were doing flying head scissors and everything. And Andrade is not a small guy, but Phoenix would do one, and it's like, wow. And then Andrade would do one, and you're going, whoa. And I mean, it may not look quite as good as Ray's, but, come on. But, and also, you had Jericho on commentary most of the night, and apparently he knows a lot of Spanish. But right about the time they're going, I'd say about 2 to 3 minutes, somewhere like that into the match, the Yankee pinstripe pants that Andrade wears gets a tear on the side, just below the belt. And brother is commando in there, so wardrobe malfunction warning. Spoiler, it doesn't happen for the ladies. But anyway, the match goes on. And these guys are really just tearing it. Ray does a couple moves where he throws Andre over on the top rope and does some moves off. I mean, just great times. But then he tries to walk the ropes like he does. And he does it fantastic. He does that better than anybody just about that I've seen. But the announcers try to say that it could be the rope slippery and everything. No, Andrade pushes the ropes out when he's walking down. He lands a leg on each side of the ropes. You know what I mean? And that's the match turn. And then Andrade really starts to put the boots to Ray. And Ray, you know how it does. It goes back and forth. But when it goes back to Ray does something that he often does when I watch his matches. He does something I've never seen before. And as old as I am, when I haven't seen something, it's pretty doggone good. It's worth going back and checking out. But he goes to jump off the top ropes. And a lot of times, the guy that's receiving the bump is going to have to wait a second, and a lot of times they don't stall and turn back, so they're turning there and they're literally standing there waiting to catch him. No. Andrade was maybe a little slow, and so Ray goes to jump off of a top rope and catches himself and stalls. And if you really got to watch this now, because you almost think that something went wrong with your cable reception, or your stream, or whatever it is. Yes, old school. But he stalls and then jumps. And it's a hell of a move. It's a hell of a move. And they go to picture-in-picture. And most of the time they only do that once in a match. This match was good enough, and you were going to be watching that they did it twice. And Andrade is not the best in picture-in-picture. He uses that time to, get his wind back or whatever. But after, what was it? There was something that Ray hurt himself in that picture-in-picture, I believe. And during the picture-in-picture, Andrade goes out. And he's got the upper hand at that moment. And he goes out while Ray's in agony over to the side. And he gets into it with a fan. And the ref has to come over. And I bet you he probably knew the fan, because they probably wouldn't have let that. They probably wouldn't have shown it on TV. But anyway, the match goes back in. They do some great moves, and Ray gets a couple of good moves on him, and gets a chance at a pin, and Andrade kicks out, but Jose, a part of no, Jose. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm trying to read this and be a little more efficient with this show. Trying to use this as this is what I learned over the last few weeks. Thanks to Mimi and Matt for letting me have a chance. But Jose passes an iPad, a tablet in at one point in time, and towards the end of the match, and Andrade's gonna hit him with it, and the ref catches it, and when the ref pulls it out, there's an eye poke in there, and so it looks like Andrade's going to win right then, but no, Ray kicks out. So they go back and forth a couple more times. The assistant and Jose, the other valet, for lack of a better words, act like they're going to get into a fight, and so that's when the eye poke happens, and then somebody that I'm not familiar with. And it seems that I say this a lot, but AEW does a good job of bringing in people, and they're really introducing new factions and everything else. And that's kind of what they do with this. They, the Jose, let me see if I get this right, El Toro Blanco, or Roush, I believe is what it was. The telecaption said Rush, but I believe it was Roush. He goes out there and kicks Ray in the kahunas, and so throws him back into the ring. And so with all this going on, Jose and Alex get out of the ring. Referee gets calm back in the ring, and then there is of course, Andrade hits him with a hammerlock DDT, and he takes the win. But after the match is when all hell breaks loose. At one point in time, Andrade takes the mask off of Ray, which seems to be a common thing for this Latin wrestler to unmask the luchadors, which is really unusual. But it goes into pretty much they're going to whoop on, they pull his mask off, and everybody's coming in the ring. Well, Penta runs down with a shovel and clears everything out. But they're setting up the faction of being this El Toro Blanco, or Roush, and Andrade have been famous for tagging in the Mexico wrestling, in Mexican wrestling, Latin America, and I'm sure it's all over, but they're pretty famous according to the announcers there. So they're called the ungoverned faction. So, it was good. They already had the T-shirts. They were making jokes that I'm sure the businessman that Andrade is, that he's probably already got T-shirts at AEW.com. Got a little segue. But then they go into Brother Eddie Kingston's promo, and of course, normally you with a pay-per-view this close, you're going to be promoting that. And Eddie makes a comment pretty much somewhere to the effect of, sorry, Mr. Khan, but he wants to talk about blood and guts. And, he's going to fight Suzuki at Forbidden Door, but he pretty much says he wants to taste Chris Jericho's blood. And Jericho is on commentary, so he's making a big deal. But, he promotes blood and guts. So, it was a good little promo, and then they go into another promo, which is Swerve and Keith Lee. And they're talking about, they're of course, they're in the match with Desperado, and I'm not even going to attempt this, a very good masked wrestler. Desperado is masked. A very good wrestler with a name that I cannot pronounce. But Keith Lee reminds Swerve that, hey, man, I haven't forgotten Let's just keep winning. It's kind of like the old slogan, winning cures everything. Then they go into a match that I'm sure that they're setting something up with in the writing. It's Serena Deeb and Mercedes Martinez. And they end up fighting the Fighting Jabronis. And yes, jabronis can be female, male. It does not matter. But they're pretty much Serena and Mercedes. They don't want to tag out to each other. Everybody's got a chip on their shoulder. But Mercedes is the Ring of Honor champ. So that's what they're setting up with that. And they each try to outdo each other. And at the end, well, I will say this, before they do their dueling submission moves, one of the jabronis, the bigger of the jabronis, kicks out of a Indian deathlock, which, hey, pretty good. That they let the match go that long. So that, in other words, the ref said, you got 2 more minutes. Don't end it yet. And anyway, they at the end there's an accidental bump for Serena on the outside of the rope where Mercedes is going in for the kill shot, and so they have to outdo each other, and that's where that goes. But then they bring out Tully Blanchard's Enterprises. And he's got cage. Well, he's got 3 big, not jabronis. No. He's got 3 big monsters, and pretty much says that they're here for business. And then Ring of Honor champ Jonathan Gresham and Lee Moriarty, I believe I'm saying that right. Start to do an interview, and Tully comes out and interrupts and lays out a challenge, saying pretty much that they don't deserve their spot. So Jonathan, which is good on the mic, he answers and comes back with a good little comeback, and there is a setup for the next pay-per-view. So then they bring out Hook. That's the handsome devil himself. And he fights a trainee, someone, supposedly about the same level as him, from the LA Dojo, and DKC. I'm not real familiar with him, but pretty decent match. At the start of the match, Hook comes out and he stands in the corner with his back to his opponent, which is a no-no, but he does it anyway because he's Hook. Just ask Taz, his dad, and you got Jericho and Taz on mic on this, so it is pretty good. The commentary, and they're using all the technical terms for every move. A knee bar is this, just this long, but it's a knee bar or whatever it is. But that's pretty much how Hook starts a match out. DKC comes back and puts a little whooping on Hook for a second. And then there's an overhead throw and a bunch of crossface strikes, and then the Hook's signature move, apparently. I was not aware totally of this because he hasn't wrestled a bunch, but it's called the Red Rum. And Hook wins. All right, now they bring in Mark Henry because I'm sure he's doing a lot of back of the house work, but he's got a good little spot, and they're giving him a chance to have a steady gig, and he does good on this. So far, it's been pretty good, but it's Cash Wheeler and Jeff Cobb. Now, if you're not familiar with Jeff Cobb is a badass. And he was, for real, he was in, I think it was 2004, represented Guam in the Olympics, in Freestyle Olympics wrestling. And and also in this match, Jericho gives Cobb the Sports Entertainer of the Week award. But it starts, and then before the match, they bring out Caprice Coleman, the voice of Ring of Honor, and he does a lot of the commentary on this. So they're appeasing the Ring of Honor fans and trying to keep everything going. But you pretty much got New Japan against Ring of Honor. You've got the New Japan champs, Jeff Cobb, and I believe it's Khan, against, FTR. Well, this is a singles match, Jeff Cobb versus Cash Wheeler. But they start off, and it's a traditional start off with Cash. You know, he always does. Everything comes off the headlock. He starts with the headlock, and I think they fill each other out for a little bit. You know, he breaks out of the headlock, move for move like that. So, you know, it starts off good, and this is a good match, you know, but they go back and forth. Cobb puts Cash off the top rope at one time, and then does a what would it be, like a backdrop throw. I mean, this during the match, Cobb, his his weight and his strength comes out in this match. So Cash has got to counteract and everything. And so even when they go to pitcher-in-pitcher, like earlier Andrade, it's not always good in pitcher-in-pitcher. This pitcher-in-pitcher, Cobb kind of takes over. At one point, he does something I've never seen. He gets on, that he does. He gets on him and rides him like a surfboard, you know, with all his weight on him. And, you know, I've never tried that. You know, when you see the big guys step over, you know, where they step on their chest or whatever like that, I know there's a way to prepare for that, but I don't know how particularly they do that. But you've got to have some core strength. But anyway, they go back. When they come back after pitcher-in-pitcher, and which was one of the pitcher-in-pitchers they did, there was a screw-up, and they stopped doing pitcher. I believe it was this one. It was it was this one. I believe they were pitcher-in-pitcher through a commercial or two, and then at least on YouTube on my feed that I was getting, it goes to a full commercial, which they never do. So just a little small thing, but. They're going back and forth. Like Cash will do, you know, 2 bam bam punches, or 2 or 3, like bam bam bam, and then Cobb just comes back with 1 and lays him out. I mean, just big punches, big chops, and then finally Cash figures out he does the veteran FTR old school move. He clips him in the knee. Bigger guy, get him on the mat. And, you know, he does, they go back and forth, you know. Cash even power bombs this big guy. And he's probably 235, 240. Cash is probably realistically 190, right at somewhere in that range. So that's some good strength to do that. But I said they go back and forth. Heavy hands. And it's a good match. And they come out single without their tag team partners and everything. But eventually, it shows that Cobb's just a little too strong. Just a little too strong. After several kickouts and everything, Cobb does his Tour of the Islands move, and Cobb wins. But when he does, Khan comes out. He's kind of laughing. He's coming down the ramp towards the ring. And the camera pans over, and you see Dax coming at full speed towards him, and he blindsides him. Blindsides Cobb. And then the next thing you know, you've got United Empower out there, and everybody's, you know, kicking butt. There's pandemonium. And then the music comes on, and you got Orange, Cassidy, and Roppongi Vice. And there's a serious ass whooping going on outside of the ring. And you've got Ospreay. Will lands a big backdrop on the ramp. Looks really good. Then Kingston comes over while Chris is doing commentary, grabs a pen, like a writing pen, and jumps on Chris like he's trying to stab him with the pen. And off they go into butt whooping land through the crowd and everything. And so, you know, this is debuting for Forbidden Door for the New Japan versus AEW, you know. At one time after Jericho and them been fighting in the crowd, you know, they're panning over and Beretta and everybody's tearing up. Everybody gets an advantage on each other, so they're prolonging the TV time there. And Chris comes back into camera shot out of the over the guardrail, over the bicycle rack, and Beretta hits him with a little something, and then he jumps up and he doesn't grab the camera, but they get a real close up of him, and he looks just Bicheled. He just looks, oh my God, what's going on? And then the next thing you know, Eddie's whooping on him again, and they pan off of him, and then Chris grabs the mic and he's like complaining, and then Kingston jumps him again, and then they show Kingston's over going, give me a pin, and they're going, you took all our damn pins, when he's, it's kind of the camera the way it goes off. So, and then they go into another show, which is a countdown to Forbidden Door. And so that's pretty much the way the show is going to end. All right, guys, I want to thank everyone. Again, I did it last review, but I want to thank everybody again. Mimi should be back with no problems next week, and you will have your regular host back. So, guys, I hope I just filled in good enough to get you by. And hopefully you'll hear from me again on down the road. But for this review this week, my last one, thanks to everyone. And always rescue when you can. And spay and neuter, always. And as always, I'm out.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.